Welcome to the Improving Instructional Quality webinar. This webinar is part of FHI 360's District Summer Learning Network, a community of over 100 districts working to shift the paradigm of summer learning so that all young people get what they need over the summer. My name is Nancy Gannon, and I'll be leading today's conversation along with Alexandra Anormaliza. We hope you find this session informative and useful. We encourage you to view this webinar with others involved in supporting the implementation of summer learning in your district to allow for discussion of concepts and ideas presented. Consider sharing it with principals or summer site leaders, for example. However, you may also use the discussion prompts to engage in self-reflection. You will be able to access the links to all the resources when you download this deck. Next slide. This webinar is designed to help you really strengthen instruction in your summer learning, even if you don't have a lot of extra time. We will discuss how you can identify an instructional focus for summer learning, use simple tools and protocols to support the improvement of your instructional quality during summer learning, even if your time and resources are constrained. Next slide. As schools bounce back from the negative impacts of the pandemic, the depth of student need is becoming clearer. Summer learning has real potential to make a difference, but most school-based summer learning programs do not actually improve student achievement. For this reason, it's critical to focus on the research for summer learning. Research has found that summer programs tend to get larger effects when they have small class sizes, pay attention to the number of hours of instruction per day and the program duration, are aligned to student needs, are staffed by quality teachers, and are designed with strong attendance in mind. For example, consider partnering with families and community organizations to set attendance goals and plan ways to meet them, addressing transportation needs, creating an environment that leads students to want to be there. Summer programs have also been found to be more effective when they report using research-based instruction. We know many districts have been planning summer for months. What else can you do now between today and the end of your program to ensure high-quality instruction this summer? Next slide.
Instruction Partners' train, plan, coach triangle of teacher support provides a framework to aid effective implementation and result in quality instruction for students. Each of these three pillars is an ongoing endeavor to support the implementation of the curriculum in response to student and teacher needs, and to strengthen the quality of instruction over the duration of the instructional program. Train refers to the explicit training that teachers, instructional coaches, and site leaders need to understand the curriculum and how to utilize the materials at the lesson and unit level, to implement the instructional practices that make the curriculum come to life, to customize the materials where appropriate, to make informed instructional decisions that strengthen student engagement and success, and to utilize specific protocols and tools for collaborative planning, student work analysis, and data analysis. Training is not a one-time activity provided for teachers and leaders at the beginning of summer session. If you don't have significant pre-summer time, don't despair. The most successful systems engage in continuous training in response to evolving teacher needs to strengthen their use and implementation of the materials over time. Plan refers to the collaborative and/or independent planning processes that teachers engage in on a daily or weekly basis to understand the intended outcomes for students, to practice lesson delivery, to prepare for instruction, to analyze student work, to strategically respond to student needs in instruction. The goal is to study and understand the materials deeply through intellectual preparation as a means of preparing for instruction. Coach refers to the ongoing coaching and feedback teachers receive to improve their instructional practices. Coaching is where the three pillars intersect. It provides opportunities to observe teachers, which can be informal, identify trends in instruction, and in the use of materials, which can inform future trainings and/or communication. Help identify common planning challenges and identify model classrooms, and provide individualized support to teachers. Strong coaching includes cycles of inquiry and explicit coaching support. Next slide. Before setting the train, plan, coach triangle in motion, you need to articulate the connective thread that will drive every action in a coherent way. If you identify one instructional practice that all instructional staff can target, you can develop all your support systems around that practice. For example, District A does not have a shared curriculum during summer learning. The district has adopted the DSLN instructional quality tool as a framework for academic quality. This tool can be used as an instructional self-assessment for the district to identify instructional areas of strength and growth. The district wants to move away from remediation and increase student engagement during the lessons. This is a big change for the district, starting with some small but important steps. Using the look-fors articulated in the instructional practices section of the instructional quality tool, which is on page 3, the district identifies, students discuss or otherwise communicate what they are doing and what they are thinking about as their instructional focus for summer 2023. This instructional focus will anchor PD and narrow look-fors during visits, feedback, and support to teachers during the summer learning period. This district is now ready to provide inspiration. When launching summer learning, whether in person, virtually, or via memo, the district will share its guiding principles or framework for teaching and learning, extended to include summer. Connecting the instructional focus to the district's vision and mission for summer learning is paramount here. Next, the district will share expectations for teacher implementation of the instructional focus and for site leaders or district coaches' support of teachers. Teachers should also understand what they are expected to do with their planning time, if any is built into the schedule. Finally, the district will offer guidance. Teachers should understand what this practice looks like in action. The train phase of the plan does not have to look like an in-person session. It can be a webinar and/or a series of short videos that teachers and site leaders can view. As importantly, teachers should understand what support they can expect. From whom? Is it from site leaders? Does the district have district coaches, for example? And in what dosage, if possible? Additionally, for the purposes of transparency, if coaches or other district staff will be conducting frequent classroom walkthroughs, teachers should know what tools are being used to collect data informally. Next slide. Take a moment to reflect on what you have heard so far and think about these questions. Has our district identified a practice that is narrow enough to be measurable or observable throughout the summer learning experience? Would school staff be able to name the instructional focus if asked during a school walkthrough? Would school staff be able to explain how the district arrived at this specific instructional focus? What next steps can our district take to ensure the instructional focus is clear to everyone involved in implementing summer learning? Next slide.
As stated earlier, the train phase of the plan does not have to look like an in-person session if the district does not have access to professional learning time. However, when setting expectations to do something differently or try something new, it's important for districts to show teachers how to do the new thing. Training can be offered in the form of webinars and/or a series of short videos that teachers and site leaders can view on their own time. See, for example, Teaching Channel's academic discussion protocol video. You can also create vignettes with an accompanying self-study guide. In this example, vignettes are used to support teachers with understanding how to use formative assessment in their classrooms. For both of these resources, you can access the links when you download this deck. Next slide. If your current schedule allows for teacher collaboration time, make sure to set expectations for planning. As always, once you set expectations, you need to provide support and guidance. Resources for planning can include sample collaborative planning models, videos of collaborative planning like Achievement First Intellectual Prep Protocol, or sample protocols for thinking about lessons. If funds allow, funding additional time for teacher collaboration is always a good idea, as long as that time will be structured and aligned to the district's instructional improvement goals. Next slide. A lot can be accomplished during the short weeks of summer learning when teachers work together to examine student work and make changes to their practice based on those findings. Districts should provide guidance on how teacher teams can, 1, identify a problem of practice related to the instructional focus, 2, collect data related to the problem of practice, and 3, meet regularly to analyze the data and address patterns identified. Because of its ready availability and direct connection to the curriculum, teacher teams should use student work as data, in addition to any other forms of data available. Meetings should be quick and regular to ensure that any changes to practice can happen in real time and are reviewed at the next meeting. Resources for schools can include protocols for collaborative inquiry, protocols for reviews of student work, videos of teacher teams meeting. Again, all of these resources are available in the links. Next slide.
Coaching is perhaps the place where a district has the most influence. If a district can build the capacity of site leaders to implement, train, plan, coach, then teacher support can happen at every site while site supervisors build their leadership skills. All this while also strengthening a core of instructional leaders for the district. To leverage coaching, districts should communicate expectations for district coaches and/or site leaders. In some districts, the site leaders will serve in this role to visit classrooms regularly and provide feedback and support to teachers. Share observation tools and/or data collection protocols for classroom visits and practice using them together if possible. This slide links to several sample classroom observation tools. Next slide. Take a moment to reflect on what you have heard so far and think about these questions. Who is coaching teachers in our district during summer learning? What actions can we take now to ensure their readiness to coach toward our instructional focus? What, if anything, should be taken off their plates to ensure they can be most effective? Next slide. Last but not least, site leaders and coaches, if you have them, can model collaborative teacher work by meeting regularly to analyze the work in schools and make support decisions based on data. The coach inquiry process linked here is an adaptation of what teachers do, which we saw earlier in this webinar, and is modeled after Rel West's using inquiry cycles in PLCs to improve instruction, which is linked in the resources section of this webinar. Having access to the qualitative data collected by site leaders and/or coaches during the summer session will be invaluable as you consider Summer Learning 2024. Think about the data that is going to be most important to you and your team. What will tell you that the program worked well? How are you planning to collect that data and reflect on it as the program runs, rather than waiting till the end? Next slide.
As we conclude this webinar, know that no matter how close you are to launch, it's not too late to make positive changes. Improving academic quality is a complex long-term process, but there are small steps districts can take along the way that generate important gains. The Train, Plan, Coach framework can help districts identify areas for growth and use aligned resources to support summer learning as the program launches. Districts can offer schools support in a variety of modalities, including asynchronous interactive webinars, video libraries, and self-study guides. Data collection and review during and at the end of the summer experience is essential to ensure continuous improvement. Next slide. Please pause to consider everything you've heard today and its implications for the work of your district. Ask yourself, what part of the Train, Plan, Coach framework is a strength for our district? What is an area for growth? What small tweaks can we make in the next 2 weeks to strengthen academic quality throughout the district? Next slide. For the research base and additional resources, please review the items on the screen. Again, if you download this deck, you'll be able to access all the links. Next slide. Thank you for attending this webinar. We wish you much success as you launch summer learning this summer.